Hello there guys, you're listening to Ebird Online and I'm back with another review. So today I'm going to bring you something a little bit early. We're going to be talking about Tania and Syngin, or in fact should I say Tania minus Syngin. So this is 90 Day Fiance Season 5, Episode 15, Point of No Return. So I'm going to be discussing two things with you guys today. The first thing is, will Syngin go back home to America with Tania? And the second thing is, should he go back home? What are his options? And we're going to look through the pros and cons of each. Just before we begin, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and please, if you enjoy the content, if you press that thumbs up button, it really does help to promote my video with the YouTube algorithm. And also don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Ebird99. So without further ado, I give you Tania and Syngin. And when we first catch up with Syngin, he's sitting with his family and he's lamenting the fact that he's going home today, back to the US. How do we know he's lamenting it? Because he loudly proclaims to everybody, I certainly ain't looking forward to going back to cold-ass Connecticut. Oh dear, it doesn't exactly seem like home sweet home. And then to producers, Syngin said, last night we had yet another argument in front of my friends, and today Tania and I are going back to America. But there's an awful lot for me to think about right now because things aren't going well within our relationship. What a master of the understatement. And so Syngin's brother said, thank you. I know that it was my injury that brought you over here, but I'm so glad you came. Thanks for coming over to see me. And then his mum said, do you want to go back? And Syngin said, I'd love to stay out here longer. I'd really prefer to stretch out my time. It's going to be really tough. And guys, I noticed with quite some interest that he failed to actually answer the question. And then his sister chimes in. She said, you're going to miss out on a lot of things when you go again. You've missed out on so much already. And to producers, his sister said, I don't think that they're going to make it. I didn't know Tania as well as I thought I did, and now I've seen Tania more. She's really not as good as I thought she was. And I make her right. The only person that I know that thinks Tanya's good is Tania. And Syngin said, yeah, going home's going to be different this time. We're in a tough spot. If stuff doesn't get better, it's not going to work. And his family, well, they just pile on the pressure. His brother says, just stay here with all your friends and family and everything you know. Syngin said, yeah, it's a tough one. This is where I love to be and this is where I'm happiest. But on the other hand, if I back out of going back to America now, I'll get back into my old habits again. And none of his family say anything about this. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but I think this is a nod to Syngin going out drinking too much with his friends and not taking life seriously. And his mum said, you're going to have to make a decision what you're going to do. Are you going to be back with Tania? If not, you're going to have to come back anyway. And then you're wasting your time, you're wasting a journey. It's pointless. And to producers, his mum said, I thought everything was good with Tania. I didn't actually know what was going on. And again, Syngin laments, I wish I could come back every month. I don't want to go, I want to stay here, but the whole commitment thing has got me. And right at the end of this segment, he says, but am I committing to something that I shouldn't be committing to right now? Or am I committing to something I shouldn't be right now? I'm just a little bit confused. And this is where we leave these guys for this week. And the first question the Ebird has for you is, do we think Syngin will actually get on the plane? Do we think he'll go home? So I do think that he will. Obviously his life's in America at the moment. And because he keeps saying, I'm so confused, all that will have to happen is Tania walks in, starts Veruca assaulting again, and he'll be back on the plane before you know it. And obviously he misses his friends and family. But if you were to move back home, what would he do? Would he move in with his parents? He's 32. So I think there's virtually no chance that Syngin will stay in South Africa. But guys, let me know what you think. Do you think that's at all likely? And I also want to go over the pros and cons of Syngin staying in the US and making a life there, or Syngin returning to South Africa and finishing his relationship with Tania. So first up, here are the reasons that I think it will be a good thing for Syngin to go back with Tania to America. So the first thing is that in South Africa, I think his lifestyle's a little bit too easy. And he has absolutely no pressure on him whatsoever. Syngin's idea of life planning is working out whether he needs 1 or 2 cases of beer, and he doesn't seem to have any intention of growing up. So you can kind of see from his 2 friends that they were still drinking and going out and party boys, and I think if he were to go back to South Africa, he'd fall straight back into that trap again. What about my lifestyle? And would I get back into bad habits? And I think that was a nod to these bad habits, drinking all the time and getting into fights. And hearing Syngin musing like this is the closest that we've ever got to him sort of saying, yeah, I am a bit of a waster. He normally says, I'm a free spirit, rather than, I just don't want to do that much. So I think in the US, because he's with Tania, he simply doesn't have the network of people to go and party with. So I think he's more likely to progress further if he's in the US. And the second reason is, which is very closely related, There are loads more opportunities for him in the US, so don't get me wrong, I know South Africa's a lovely place. But we heard Syngin say, I want to be an opera singer, or a fireman, or a carpenter, or Batman. He doesn't know what he wants to do, and I think we're better to not know what you want to do than America, the land of opportunity, where he can do, well, anything he can be bothered to get out of bed for. Which is actually probably not that much, but I definitely do think he'll have more opportunity. And the final reason is of course his wife Tania. And although they haven't seemed to get on from what we've seen of them on screen, there obviously was a point at which they were deeply in love. And who knows, maybe they can get that back again. Say what you want about Tania, and I usually do, but she's got very definite ideas of what she wants to achieve and what she wants to do, so I think she's going to be there prodding Syngin with a stick, and perhaps that's what he needs. Maybe his family do pamper him a little bit too much and let him get away with murder. Maybe he does need a bit of Tania's tough love. And although, you know, I find Tania uber annoying, I do think that it would be an excessively selfish move for Syngin to just decide, yeah, I'm not getting on the plane. It would deprive her of any time to fix the relationship and not give them any time to work on any of their problems. There are many, many problems. And although Tania has previously tested positive for being a lying, selfish biatch, I honestly in my heart of hearts don't think anyone deserves that treatment. And my assessment of Syngin is that he seems to be stuck between I need to make money and you only live once. And at the moment Tania seems to be the only contender to help him with that. And so on the flip side, what are the reasons for Syngin to stay in South Africa? Well, the first one I think, which is the most major one, which is really what we witnessed in the latest instalment, is that Syngin is really close to his family and friends, and you can tell he misses them greatly. So he's only been gone for a couple of years, but he realises how much his sister's grown up and how much things have changed, and he also misses his beloved South Africa. And we heard him say earlier, there's nowhere I'd rather be, and it's beautiful, and the weather, and like many have said before him, there's no place like home. So that's the first reason. I think the second reason is he and Tania don't seem to have shared life goals. Tania wants 3 kids. Syngin doesn't know if he wants any. Now that's quite a divergent set of plans. Somebody's going to have to give massively if they're to stay together. I don't think it's going to be Tania. She said, with or without you, I'm going to have my kids no matter what I do. And I think she's dead set on it. And I think it would be futile for him to try and change her mind. And so in essence, what he really has to consider is, do I want to relent and just have kids? And if he knows now that he definitely doesn't, which he seemed to be quite close to saying the other day, he may as well call it a day now, because I think there's nothing down for this couple. And the final reason for him to make South Africa his home is the terrible discourse between he and Tania. So since he's been back in South Africa, it's quite clear none of his family and none of his friends seem to like her. And to all intents and purposes, Tania seems about as popular as Bin Laden. She doesn't seem to have an awful lot of respect for his family or friends because she didn't mind arguing in front of any of them. There wasn't a day she didn't break down in tears, and there wasn't a day she didn't start screaming or shouting. And even though I can understand she feels massively frustrated because these problems were bubbling under the surface and then they suddenly went to South Africa, I think it shows a distinct lack of respect to have big screaming matches in front of somebody's family and friends. And I think that lack of respect courses through Tania's veins. I doubt she's going to change anytime soon. So guys, let me know what you think. I think this is showdown time. As we know, this was filmed sometime after November last year, as I pointed out a few reviews ago, when England were cruelly robbed of the Rugby World Cup. And more or less 2 or 3 months later, the whole world was in lockdown. And as we all gradually and slowly start to come out of it, who knows what's going to happen with this relationship? So let me know what you think in comments down below. And as usual, I'll answer as many as I can. Just before I go, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Make Ebird a very happy Ebird. And guys, we're coming up to 35,000 subscribers. So I just want to take this time to say a massive thank you to everybody who's subscribed to me, everyone who likes my videos. Thank you for everybody's comments, even the ones I don't agree with. And also for taking the time to write down your unpopular opinions and so on. I really do love that this channel is really interactive and I get to talk to you guys a lot, so thank you so much for that. And so it just leaves for me to say, you've been listening to Ebird Online. Thank you so much for listening. Ciao for now.